We are rapidly coming up on the end of 2025, and I think like most of us, I've started to think about my 2026 goals. Some of them are being better at things I tried to do this year. Some of them are brand new, especially since this is the year I started YouTube. With the best will in the world, it has affected my goals. It takes a lot of time, and so other things have maybe slightly fallen by the wayside. And this year coming, I'm gonna have to try and figure out where I want my time to be spent, where I want my priorities to lie. For my own sanity, I've been able to split my goals into roughly 3 categories, although admittedly there is a lot of overlap between them. They all sort of play into one another, and there's gonna be a bit of back and forth. I really hope you're going to enjoy this conversation. I hope it maybe gives you some ideas for your own goals for the year, whether that's hearing ones I'm setting and thinking they're a good idea, or hearing ones I'm setting and thinking that they are a terrible idea. I'd love to know what your goals are for next year and whether you've achieved the ones that you set at the beginning of this year. The first set of goals I have are specifically to do with YouTube and to do with filming. In my head, I'm calling this production, which sounds really fancy, but it's the practicalities that I'm struggling to get a handle on. The biggest one is learning more about my camera settings and my setup. There is so much that I don't understand about those kind of technical aspects of filming, and I'm learning as I go. I do think I've got a bit better over the year, but it's only been about 10 months and I still have an awfully long way to go. The biggest thing I have found is that lighting is a real problem, and lighting makes a big difference. Specifically, this has been something I noticed as we've come into the autumn and the winter where I live. I live kind of central belt Scotland, and the way our natural lighting works is that in the height of summer, we get sunlight pretty much from 4 AM through to midnight, and we only get a few hours that are mostly dark. But in the winter, sort of from October through to March, right now, it gets gloomy around 3 o'clock. It's fully dark usually by about 4, and then it doesn't lighten up again until something like 9:30 or 10. Which means that if you're going out to work, you feel like a pit pony. And for filming, even on weekends, it means that it's a really, really narrow window if I want to use natural light. So you might have noticed in the kind of more recent videos, I've been hopping around different places in my house trying to figure out where I get the best light with the least amount of work. This is something where I think I'm going to have to invest in a little bit of technology, and I am planning on buying myself a kind of better light box. This is really niche, and I wonder if anyone else has the same problem. I wear glasses, and the issue is that any kind of light reflects off these glasses. With the ring light, you get that little creepy demonic circle. Even natural light, I notice that you can see sometimes the buildings that are outside my window reflected in the glasses, and I don't know if there's a better way to fix that. Obviously, one option would be to wear contacts. The other option, what I've seen people talk about, is to set the camera higher so it's looking down at you more, and it's all to do with angles. That's probably the solution I'm going to go with, but it will take a bit of trial and error. Let me know if you wear glasses, if you've managed to figure out that magic angle, or whether you think it's worth the trade-off. I know these aren't going to look anything like professional videos, but I just want to see some improvement by the time I get to the end of the year. Something else I'd like to see at least a slight improvement on from one end of the year to the other, and I do understand it is a journey, is I think my own presentation on videos. I still, when I'm filming, get a bit nervous. I don't know, I still feel a little bit awkward sometimes talking to the camera, and I know that when I'm nervous I start to talk faster and faster, and I also know that a Scottish accent doesn't help with that. We naturally tend to talk really quickly, and so I'm doing my best to remember that I might be talking fast even when I'm completely relaxed. Being anxious or being uncomfortable certainly won't be helping, and I think that is just to do with getting more confident talking to a camera, making it feel more natural for myself. that's something that, as far as I can tell, is just going to come with time and with practice. And I do think I've become better over the course of the year, or again, the 10 months. I think I've become better at maybe not correcting myself as much. I've become a little bit more relaxed, where if I make a mistake or if I say something and change my mind, it's okay to have pauses and to have ums and ers. I've definitely noticed when editing there are certain words and phrases that I use all the time that I didn't have any concept that I was using. And sometimes I edit them out, but I'm getting better, I think, at just accepting that that's the way I talk. The final element in this category is the editing. I've been very much teaching myself, and by teaching myself I mean fumbling around with a free program and just doing what works. Some of the videos that are from earlier in the year I'm already looking back at, and it feels like that joke about your first PowerPoint where you have wishes and slides and everything, all the bells and whistles, and it looks, you know, something very 90s, that shooting star. Again, I think that's maybe a case of experience and the shine wearing off slightly, and not feeling that I need to put so many bells and whistles on. So there's no set goal I can put on this, there's no numerical value I can put. It's just going to be a case of my own instinct and maybe looking at some videos, which might be something I'll try and remember to do towards the end of the year. I'd love to hear your thoughts. My next category is more to do with the actual reading itself, and I don't have that many goals here because I'm not going to set myself a numerical goal here either. I am going to set myself some goals in terms of broader themes. The big one is, and it is every single year, I want to DNF more books. I know that sounds silly, but I have a real problem with, I pick up a book, I need to finish the book. Even if I instinctively thought at page 20 that this book was going to be a 3, and I read the entire 400-page book and the book is a 3, then maybe I need to get better about knowing myself, trusting myself, and being okay with the idea that maybe that book turns it around, maybe it is amazing, but the odds are low, and the time I spend on that book, especially because if I'm not enjoying it, it'll take me longer. I could be finding my next 5-star read, my next couple of 5-star reads without any hassle. I know I also have a problem with, I read the first book, I know it's a 3 relatively early on. I read the book, it's a 3, 3.5. The next book comes out and I think, yeah, but I started the series, so maybe I should just continue it. And what am I doing? I definitely need to get better about drawing a line under things, about accepting that this just isn't for me, and that's fine. And rather than pushing through, I should cut that back. It's maybe not the most exciting update, it's far more fun to come back and tell you I've loved a book and I think you should go grab it, but it's maybe something again that I just need to accept that it's more realistic. I know this channel is never going to be super polished, it's never going to be super professional, that's just not the level of time, energy or ambition that I have, so maybe I need to embrace that and just be really fully, this is what happened, I DNF'd this book and we're moving on with life. Another goal that I set every single year, and I set last year, was to trim, to cull, to cut down my NetGalley TBR shelf. I have done really well this year, and I know exactly what the problem is. The problem isn't the amount of books on the shelf. It's a lot more than a lot of people have, I admit that. I think at the moment it's around upper 30s. But I've definitely got friends that have far more on their shelves and don't feel stressed about it. Part of the problem is that at the start of this year, some of those books were really, really old. I had books that were like 5-year-ago arcs on it, and that stressed me out because it also made it really hard to clear them because I'd lost interest so much. But I did do really well on that this year, and I think I have brought that average time frame much closer. My issue is that I request far too many. I don't do full review videos so much, but on my blog I do post an ARC review, specifically an ARC review because that's all I have time for posting and writing reviews for. I post an ARC review every single week. So that means I'm reading roughly 50 ARCs in a year. And yet my NetGalley shelf has not went down. I need to cut back on my requests, and I don't know how I do that other than having more self-control, which is the problem. I don't, and I don't know how to give myself that. My goal is that at the end of this year, I will have no more than 10 books on my NetGalley shelf at any one time. To do that this year, I am obviously going to have to clear at least about 20-25 books. And I'll definitely be doing the NetGalley November, the ARC August challenges. I'll definitely be trying in my own TBR game. I have a square on my board where read a NetGalley book is one of the prompts. Hopefully that will be doable. And if I combine that with really cutting back on the amount of ARCs I request, the goal's not unachievable, but it's definitely challenging. In terms of genre, I know and accept that 99% of my reading is going to be largely fantasy in its multitudes, with a heavy number of cozy mysteries in there too. But last year I did set myself the goal of pushing myself into genres that interest me, the concepts interest me, but they feel outside of my comfort zone. Those were horror and sci-fi, and I did try this year to read a bit more of both. I think on reflection I had more success with horror than I did sci-fi. Firstly, read more horror than sci-fi, but also the horrors I read I really enjoyed. That's not to say I didn't enjoy some of the sci-fi I read, but as an average. So this year I'd like to do the same. I'd like to continue pushing myself to read more horror, but not necessarily scarier horror. I think I've found my line in the sand. I would still like to try new things, and if something really intrigues me, I'll be willing to again push that comfort zone a little bit. But I definitely like to explore the genre more, because now not only are there so many great new books coming out, I feel like there's a whole new backlist that I get to look into. The same with sci-fi, although I think I had less success this year. There were a couple of really, really good sci-fis I read, but I don't feel like I read a whole lot, and I don't feel that I really tried to push myself past what I already knew I enjoyed. The only genre that I would add to my kind of genre push this year is non-fiction. I know that I'm not a non-fiction reader anyway. I have no pretenses that I'm going to become a non-fiction reader, but I don't think I read a single non-fiction book in the entirety of last year. Or last year and this year, I guess. I'd like to maybe set a goal of reading one non-fiction book next year, or at the very least maybe reading some journal articles. Maybe going short form would work for me. The final category that I have here combines the two. I've been calling it content, and it's reading goals I have, but ones that I've mentally checked that would probably make for interesting videos, at least to me, which is probably the first goal. I've been trying different things this year. I've been finding my feet, and I think what I need to do in this coming year is figure out what I enjoy making on BookTube. I have a pretty good idea of what I enjoy watching. I have a pretty good idea of what I enjoy interacting with. I think I'm starting to get a feel for what I enjoy making the most, and I now just need to sort of put that into action. Again, I'm not super ambitious with this, I'm not super professional with it. There's no point in me spending time making videos I don't enjoy, so I won't be. I just need to find out the ones that I'm getting the most fun from and do those more. Last week, I think, I posted my short story recommendations, and I really enjoyed that video. And I don't think I've really done a lot of list type of videos, whereas it's something I post quite often on my blog, and I don't know why it's never occurred to me that I could do that here too, but I did really enjoy that, so that might be something that I do more of in the future. I also do really enjoy my TBR game. I think everyone enjoys TBR games, so that's not going anywhere. I really have enjoyed doing my kind of X picks my TBR video. I like coming up with those ideas. They essentially act a bit like a mini TBR game for that week. It's something new, so I get that fresh feel of a new readathon or a new TBR game every week. So I'll probably keep doing those as well. I love readathons though, and every year I tell myself I'll do less and I'll focus on my own goals more, and every year honestly I just don't. I do stick to readathons. I love them. I love the community, I love the motivation, and I think they appeal to something in my brain that likes ticking things off, likes meeting a brief, you know, hitting goals and targets and being able to check. It's something that works for me and I enjoy, and it keeps me reading. It motivates me. Sometimes it stresses me, I'll admit. Sometimes I take it too far and I think, why am I worried? There is absolutely no consequences to not filling this bingo board. And yeah, I'll get like, I need to start finding more ways to be fitting these things in. I need to chill on that, absolutely. But I don't see readathons in general going anywhere, and I'll be looking out for some fun ones in the new year. Something else I would really like to do is, back when Twitter was twittering, I used to run a couple of readathons. In particular, I ran one about kind of themed around mythology, but you could read whatever you wanted. I have not ran those for a couple of years because I've had too much on my plate, and because I couldn't find a way that I enjoyed running them without Twitter being the framework. But I've got far more into Discord in the past couple of years. I feel much more confident on Discord now because Discord is incredibly overwhelming, absolutely. And maybe if I have some time, then this year coming, I would quite like to have another round of one of my readathons, whether that's the mythology themed one or whether I find a way to make my monthly tailspin, to make that a more interactive community thing. I don't know. I haven't really given it too much thought, but I really enjoy creating them. I enjoy that designing the game board, designing the game aspect, and obviously I love the community that comes with it. So that's something I might like to do. Again, it's a case of finding the time in advance and really having a chance to think it through in my head before the moment happens. Something that I do want to do, and it's partly because I'm relatively new to BookTube, and it's partly just because I've been trying to push myself out of my comfort zone genre-wise more, is to try some, not classic authors, but like cult classic authors that really exemplify their genre and I've not read. So the main one that I was thinking of was, I've never really read a lot of horror. It seems strange to me that someone who reads as much as I do, who loves reading as much as I do, has never read a Stephen King book. Now, do I necessarily think that I'm going to love Stephen King? I don't know. But I feel like for myself, I should try some. Similarly, when we went through the Goodreads Awards, Freida McFadden had 3 books in the thriller category. Do I know if I really love thrillers? No, I don't read a lot. And the ones I've read, I've kind of been disappointed in. I definitely prefer mystery to thriller. But if an author's that successful and so exemplifies their genre, then maybe I should try it. And I think those would maybe make for interesting videos to see whether that genre works for me and whether that author works for me and whether that genre or author might work for you if you also are in the same boat where you've not tried them before. I think it could be something that would be interesting. I don't know that it would be particularly compelling viewing, but I could figure that out once I've done the reading. I think those are my goals for the year. Some other things I would like to do this year that kind of didn't fit into any of those categories are, I need to tidy my bookshelves. They're an absolute mess. Originally, there was some attempt at colour coordination of the spines, along with some attempt at stacking big series together, but honestly now it is just where they fit. And by where they fit, I literally mean I have things double stacked, I have things side stacked, I have books slit in at diagonals because that's literally where they fit on the shelves. Maybe I'll unhaul some books from it, maybe I won't, because once I tidy it, maybe I have more space than I think. I doubt that. The only other goal I have is I would like to get back into a little bit more bookbinding. I took it up as a hobby last year before I got into YouTube. I really enjoyed it. It's tricky, but I really enjoy it. I find it quite soothing and it works really well while you're listening to audiobooks. So I don't know if that'll ever fit on this channel. I don't know that the two types of content particularly go together. It's more just something for me. But I would like to find the time to play about with that. And there's a lot of things where if I do one, it might impact another. Either in a good way it'll get done, or in a bad way. There's only so much you can do. But I think all of my goals kind of feed together, and I think they are achievable. Let me know what you think. As I said at the beginning of this video, all of these goals are in flux, and I know this has been very much a stream of consciousness video. So if you've stuck around this long, if you've listened to me ramble, I do really appreciate that. And similarly, if you have your own goals, I'd either love if you could tell me about them. Where do we share goals? Where are they different? But also, if you have a goals video or something this year, link it to me and I'd love to check it out. I really hope that if you've watched this, you want to subscribe to the channel, you want to maybe see how some of these things pan out in the next year. I really appreciate everyone that watches these videos. It's a small channel, and like I said, I know there are definitely production values that it's lacking. So I really appreciate that you spend the time watching or listening to what I have to say. And I really hope that I'm going to be able to improve those things for you to keep you interested as we go into the new year. Thank you again for watching, and I hope that I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.